Thank you, Arnau.
You're welcome, Ingrid.
Okay, so great. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ingrid Campi, and along with Arnau Domingo, we're gonna talk a little bit about the positive impact rating, and we really want to focus this session on two main points: how we use the peer as a leverage for change at esade, and the impact we had. And also, we're going to focus on the strategy we followed, especially in I think it was in our second edition. We got the highest number of answers of all the participating universities. Normally, every year, around like 50 universities participate. So this is pretty, for us, is a success story. So we also want to share with you the strategy that we followed, and hopefully to help other chapters with the implementation of the peer. So let's begin. So we first wanted to start our brief workshop with this slide. So just like as Fede was saying, because sometimes we forget where we are, and we really wanted to kind of say that this idea of transforming the education, the curriculum change, is something that has been covered by the media for the last years. Many articles from the Financial Times say how business schools are shifting towards a more sustainable approach. And it's especially something that the students are demanding their school. So this is something that Oikos Barcelona realized more or less 3.5 years ago. It was actually one event of Oikos International. It was our former president, and I had the chance to be there. It was a future lab in Geneva. It was the future lab, and it was great because we discovered the concept of curriculum change, which is basically this idea of incorporating more sustainability topics in our education. However, we needed a tool to convince our school. So that's why we decided to implement the positive impact rating, which, please, Anna, can you move to the next slide? So very briefly, because probably all of you know what the positive impact rating is, but it's basically an official survey where students assess their own school. And what they do is they rate it according to some sustainability and philanthropy criteria. The end goal is to build a rating and not a ranking. This is important. The idea of this rating is for students to know which are the best schools for the world rather than the best schools in the world, which is like something that traditional rankings give an answer to. So basically, as I said, it's the very same students which are who answer the survey and also implement the survey. So it's our role as students to also disseminate the survey and get as many answers as possible. And also, for those who don't know, it's run by a Swiss association, the Positive Impact Rating, and actually we have some board members here present. So yeah, it's just a very, very, very powerful tool for change. Here you can see an overview of our years of implementation. We started in 2020, and yeah, just last year was our last edition. One of the main messages of this workshop is that the more you get on board to implement the peer, the better. Why? So basically, first year we got the total number of 156 students, which is a quite good result for being the first year. But the former president, what he realized is that he got overwhelmed, and he basically conducted the campaign all alone. So he saw that it was key to collaborate with other people to get as many answers as possible. And that's what we did in 2021. It's the strategy that Arnau is gonna explain to you, you're going to see it was very successful for us. But that's how we boosted our participation rate, and we are where we are. So what we did with these results is basically we presented them to the board of directors and the dean of our school. Kind of we wanted to convey the idea that there was a need for change. We kind of expected some reluctance from the school, but we got the complete opposite. And they introduced to us the sustainability action plan, which is basically a 10-year plan that esade started implemented 2 years ago. And the main goal is to embed sustainability in its own subjects, like in curricular, but also in its operations. As Fede was explaining, we've seen great moves in when it comes to implementing sustainability in our campus, electricity use, etc. So it was very powerful because we could just say and communicate to esade that it's not something that the sustainability club is asking them to do, but something that the student community is asking. So that's how a very fruitful relationship and collaboration started. And we work with several teachers incorporating sustainability in several subjects. We also did the sustainability finance think tank. So great initiatives, but again, the key to our success was the positive impact rating for sure. And in the next slide, you can just see a very an overview of the positive impact rating edition last year. And you can see that it has it's being implemented across the world, 5 continents, 21 countries, and a total number of universities that year was 45, which is very high. So I encourage all the audience chapters present to implement it. So now, Arnau, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you very much. So what's our key to our success, if we can call it somehow? It's collaboration. As Ingrid was explaining at the beginning, we struggled a little bit with delegating what main tasks, how to divide it. It was messy, but now we're on a good track. It is true that in 2021 we got really good results in comparison to 2022, but this year we're trying to change it. So a little bit about our strategy is basically, as I stated before, collaboration is key, and that means that everyone has to be on board, not only oikos, but we also do not, there's many sections, divisions, classes, courses, which comprehend the full alumni of esade. So we need people everywhere. That means not only relying on oikos, but also relying on delegates or other students who belong to other associations who may not know as much of sustainability or do not honestly care that much for sustainability. So it is our job to convince them to help us spread the word. And also, as stated before, our own university's administration is it's really open to collaborate with us, which has been a strong pillar. And it's the reason why today we can explain you what we did. And at the beginning, we said we have our own social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, but basically what was more the most efficient way to contact students was not through WhatsApp. We got this, we did a lot of videos to go, to be seen at the university and that people could watch what they were eating, and posting QRs so people could answer the peer on spot. So basically being present, and that's why within our oikos chapter in Barcelona, we have a section of people who are dedicated to marketing, so their collaboration was completely essential. And also being a survey that can be answered online, one could be tempted to just send it to group chat, but it was messy, people did not respond, the involvement. So basically we ended up going to classes and just explaining people what we're doing and how these surveys kind of are an essential tool for our bargaining and for not only demanding, but for knowing what to demand. I think that here is not also like good as, okay, we want a more sustainability curricular change, or we want to do a think tank about finance, but also to know where are we lacking or where should we improve. And basically three things that we would encourage new chapters so they do not commit the same mistakes that we have already done. It's timing. We have like a week per week segment of what should be done and like the tasks that should be done. It does not mean that if a task, well, I think it's kind of universal, but it does not mean that if a task is not completed in the week that someone wrote there a month ago, the world should stop. But just to keep up with what we are doing, which comes to with the second point, which is keeping track of the progress that we have done. We have like this massive Excel, which scares a lot of people, but keeping track of all the different steps regarding who is communicating who, because at the end of the day, it's lots of people trying to do the same task. So we feel that as more collaborative and as more people will get involved, the more difficult it gets to know what we are doing. So that's why keeping track has been problematic, but also really resourceful. And finally, communication. As Fede was saying before, that our teachers tell us, okay, knock on the door, you can tell us anytime what you want. We as the same, especially regarding people who are not from like the oikos association, please ask us if you need some help, because maybe you want to explain something to your class, but you do not fully understand what you're explaining or what the survey is. So please ask us, because at the end of the day, what we want is to have the best response, the most responses, but also to have the most representative ones. We want those values to actually mean something, and we're interested in our own in our own alumni opinions, like, because we maybe within a bubble of oikos people, we think that, okay, so I know a couple of things, that's enough, but there may be people who are completely lost. So I think that is like a good moment to point that out. What's our objective? We want to repeat over 1,000 responses, and which means that it's about 50 answers per oiki, which is a lot. It's a lot because many oikis are within like in the same classes, but we have this monument like within the magnificent Excel, because it's beautiful. There is like this division of who is in charge of each class, but basically these 50 answers per oiki, rather than like a number to reach, it's like a mental state that's where we're headed. That's a lot, but like, and it's a collaborative thing. And no one alone can actually reach like 1,000 responses in university. But I think, and I feel really supported by the team that we have this year, that we can repeat it and that we will improve. And that's about it. No, hold on. Like, this is like the example of the main example of what I stated before, that we have this map of what to do each week, but it's just more representative. It's an example rather than something than to keep up. Now we are in the building your action plan. Next week, within 2 weeks, we're starting campaign. And yes, this is like a little example, but the most important thing of it is just we're gonna last a month and a 1 week. We're not gonna extend it a lot during time because our exams are in December and we do not have time. But yeah, it's just rather than anything else, it's just the comment to be made. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very, very much for your attention. And any question you have, Ingrid or I can answer that. Or we'll try.
So guys, could you maybe give them a little overview of the main results?
Yeah,
just a general of like our main findings last year, for example, if there was anything interesting.
Results, you mean like the rating we got?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So basically the positive impact rating has 5 like different like levels. Number 1 is the lowest, which means that your school isn't doing that well in terms of sustainability. And number 5 is the highest. First year we implemented the peer, and the second we got level 3, which is progressive, which is kind of a middle point where it's like your school is like undertaking certain initiatives, is doing well, however, it can do better. And then last year, we got and we kind of jumped to level 4, which is transformative. It was really reassuring for us because that year and the prior year, we were working very hard at Oikos Barcelona and implementing several initiatives related to curriculum change, like working with the professors, the think tank. Also, we're kind of pushing for some changes in like of our campus, like so it's more sustainable. So it was basically very nice to see that it was nice because it's something. It means that the student community is perceiving the change, and it was great. Also, of course, it was not just something that Oikos Barcelona did, as we mentioned before. It was something that we did together with esade, and it was as a school, the institution itself. So yeah, it was great to get those results, and of course, the end goal is to achieve number 5. But again, we see it more as a tool than as a goal per se. So it was great.
Thank you, Ingrid.
Oh, thank you for your question. I don't know, should I answer, Celine?
Yes, yes. Should I quickly read it out, or
yes, please.
That everyone is updated? There's a question: was there a category where your school was doing particularly well, and one where they can still improve?
Overall, I would say that there was not like much difference between the different categories. It wasn't something like, let's say, governments, or when it comes more like education per se. The results, that it was more like a trend. Let's say that when the school started to progress and do better, all the categories started to improve. So it was more like a transversal thing, something that it was more like a holistic problem rather than just like a specific area that needed improvement. So what we saw, especially the first edition, is some comments like, I cannot believe that after finishing a BBA, a 4-year degree, I barely have seen sustainability topics. But then, like, our third edition, we've seen students very excited about the different opportunities that esade offers. For instance, very recently, the degree itself, it's called Bitbazi. It's actually Jade, she's here. She's currently doing it, but it's a sustainability program. So it's great. It's just another example of a success story at esade, explaining like the progress that we're doing. But again, there wasn't a specific category that I would say that there was a real issue. It was more like something general. So our conclusion was, if the school really believes in it, and we as a student community, we get engaged, all the areas improve normally together. So we believe that it's like they're closely very interlinked.
Okay. There is another question to the peer. If you could transform it, how would you change it? And maybe what would you add or take out or change? Is there something?
I was thinking about something about what's currently happening, like what's like a new trend, or have you heard the news? Like something just to know, rather not to know if the person knows the theory and knows everything that's going around, but if they have a sense of, or keep in touch with what's happening in the world. But other than that, I could not. I was thinking about it while Ingrid was finishing it, and I struggled a lot to say something, like to determine something to add or take out.
Yeah, I kind of think the same. Like the peer really kind of encompasses all the different areas. It's a very, very comprehensive tool, and there's nothing that we kind of missed. One of the issues that we had, especially the third edition, and it's something I feel like there might be some room for improvement, or even like rethinking like how we can address it. But once the school is like implementing the peers for like the third or the fourth time, what we saw is that some students or even oikos were like, why are we implementing it again if we already did it? So the idea, it's very important of the peer, like to be implemented in a regular basis, like on a yearly basis, so that you can get the progress and you can see how your school is doing. But at the same time, students may, I don't want to say the word lazy, but sometimes they just don't have the time, or like, especially just implementing it, it's a lot of hours and a lot of effort. So maybe redefining or kind of giving a concept or a different idea every year might encourage more participation. So this is like the drop that we see from year two to year three. We saw this drop, and we saw kind of this lack of engagement of the student community. Also, like, we have to bear in mind that new students come in, but what we're more interested in are the students that are in their second, third, fourth year.
Okay. Also a good observation that it has to be clear for participants, like, why is this happening more often, that it actually makes sense to have this comparison. Nice.
Ingrid, no, sorry for interrupt. Yeah.
No, just asking if there are further questions.
Maybe Ingrid, you could show like the PDFs you sent me the other day with like the front image of like the main ratings and compare it to the average.
Yes.
Just to give them like a visual idea of how it looks like.
Yes, of course. I'm going to open it right now.
In the meantime, I'll introduce what we wanted to do next was to split us in breakout rooms. And our ideas was for everyone to think of how they could maybe implement the peer in their own university, and how they think they would go about it, how they think, who they think they could contact, what they think they could ask, what would be the impressions of the students in your university. Maybe in your university, everyone would be like, what the heck is this? And in others, they would be super excited. So just a 5 to 10 minute discussion, and then we can share later. But first, this.
Yes, so can you see my screen? You meant this? Was this what you meant?
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Yes, it was this.
So yeah, basically this is a very like visual report of the results we got in 2021. So it's, as you can see, schools get an average score from 0 to 10. And that year we got a 7.3, which is quite high. And then you get the total number of like respondents, and it divides between undergrad and graduate students. And also this is very, very interesting because you get to see which is the score that was given by undergrads, the score given by postgraduates, the ones by females or males. Here, a little observation. I see my female peers were sometimes a little bit more strict when it comes to assessing our school's performance. And as well, there's it differentiates between national students and international students. And as we can see as well that international students see that esade is doing better than national students. And yeah, this is like a little bit the explanation, and then you get a breakdown of the different categories, that there are three different dimensions: energizing, educating, engaging, and with the different levels. We didn't enter in that much details because we wanted to focus on more like the strategy, something you can find on their website, but it's really helpful to get the score overall. And as you can see, an energizing score is the one which is the highest, because as Fede was explaining, it's really ingrained in the culture of our school to like these values of sustainability.
Yeah,
that's it.
Thank you, Ingrid. And I hope that gave everyone a bit of more of a visual idea of how it looked like. And yeah, now I would move on to the workshop.